Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Evening.
Okay, I feel like we should start. Anyone who can come later, that's fine because this is recorded. So they'll be able to catch up maybe over the weekend because we'll take a break for the weekend. Okay, so today we're going to, today's revision is based on the two topics for today. The first one is step off the brakes. The second one is financial blueprint. So before I go into these two topics, I want to narrate something that happened today that I find very frustrating. I went to see a client. So this client, their business has more than 30 employees. It's not a small business. It's like I think it's classified as medium-sized business. They're into services. I've been consulting with them and offering training for their sales and marketing team. So one thing I realized is as I was troubleshooting why they're not able to have a lot of clients, because that's the reason why they hired me, to help them get more clients. So when you are troubleshooting sales, you always have to look at, personally, I just look at three things. One, is the business getting enough leads? Is it getting enough leads? If it's not getting enough leads, then we have to troubleshoot, is it visible enough? And is it visible to the right audience? And if it's still not getting enough leads, we'll have to, if it's a new business, we'll have to answer the question, do people even want to buy this thing? Maybe we're selling something nobody wants. Why is it that they are seeing the offer, but they're not responding? Okay. So that's on lead generation. Is the business getting enough leads? Or maybe they don't have a lead generation mechanism. They're not advertising enough. They're not offering enough freebies. They're not making enough prospecting. They're not approaching enough people. But there's another part. There's a part where you have the leads, but you're still not getting clients. So you have a lot of people who are interested. You're not converting. We call this a conversion problem. So even that one, the conversion problem, there are different ways to troubleshoot it. So one of them, for big businesses, for big deals, it's about the sales and negotiation abilities of the salesperson. Sometimes it's about the way you structure your deal. So once when this client engaged me initially, they thought they had a sales lead problem. So we ran some ads. So now we ended up with more than 200 sales leads. But even having so many sales leads, we found that they're still not closing enough deals. So now the conclusion is that the salespeople maybe are not able to negotiate properly to close the deals. But what I found is that some of the managers are able to tell. Some of the managers, when they look at their salespeople, they're able to tell that such and such a person is not a performer. But despite knowing that such and such a person is not a performer, I'm not seeing that courage to change things. Maybe fire them, take them for training, take them to another department. So I was just thinking to myself, is this really a sales problem or is it a leadership problem? So there was a time we were discussing the idea of salespeople who perform very well. Should you poach a salesperson who is performing very well? Someone said something very important. A salesperson can perform very well in one company and go and do very poorly in another company. Why? Because the leadership styles are very different. The environment is very different. And the way they are supervised is different. So sometimes even someone who's already successful, so that brings me to the topic of this day. Even someone who seems very successful, they also need coaching. I've been thinking, should I recommend coaching for some of the managers so that they can manage their team more effectively? But I've been very hesitant because I was hired to do something else. So my point is that as long as you haven't yet met your ultimate financial goal, there's always room for personal development. So the personal development, the levels will differ. For those who are starting out, maybe they just need to overcome that fear of starting. For those who are trying to approach clients, they just need to overcome the fear of rejection. So for those who are trying to grow, maybe they just need to overcome that fear of worrying, what if I hire people? What if I start renting? Will I manage? So personal development remains relevant at different stages of the business. So you may have seen me talking about my coach, my business coach. There was a day she called us for an annual planning meeting. So that's when I got to see her other clients. She used to be in Dubai. Right now she's in the States. So she works kind of with international business owners. And some of the people who are in that business have already reached millions in US dollars. But they still go for coaching. So the reason why I'm talking about this is that don't look at personal development like it's for beginners, but look at it like a staircase. You keep on climbing to the next level. Or another example I like using is an onion. There are different levels to personal development. Maybe the first level is just the fear of starting. You start a business. But as you keep on going, you'll be discovering other layers, other limiting beliefs, and other things that might hold you back. Okay. So now let's talk about okay, does anyone want to comment on what I've said so far before I go into stepping off the brakes? About the idea that personal development comes at different levels, and every level you get to, as long as you haven't reached your ultimate goal, there's a certain level of personal development that still remains relevant. Does anyone want to comment on this, or I just go ahead to the next part? Okay. If no one has raised their hand, I'll go ahead. So the lesson for today, there are two lessons. One is step off the brakes. What is the idea of stepping off the brakes? So there's a gentleman by the name of Jack Canfield. I forgot to recommend his book. He has written a book called The 16 Principles of Success. It's one of my favorite personal development books. And what I have personally found is that if someone is struggling to make progress in their business, if they look at that list of the 16 principles, most of the time, almost all the time, they'll be able to identify certain principles that if they worked on those, they'll be able to make progress. So Jack Canfield coined the idea of stepping on the brakes. When you're driving, imagine that you're driving your car, then your handbrake is on or you are stepping on the brakes. So even if you are pressing on the accelerator, the car will not move as fast as it can. So which means the amount of effort is not going to be reflected. One moment. Sorry, my son just came into the room. I just need to move him somewhere else. Hold on, baby. Wait. Hmm? Honey, I need the car keys. These guys are disturbing me. Let me go sit in the car. Talk to daddy. He's going to fix for you. I'm on the call. Sorry, I had to go to another room where I won't be seen. The challenges of doing these calls at this hour. In the last class, when I was doing an 8-week program, I was actually doing the calls at 12 hours because of this. Because 18 hours is more prone to interruptions. So anyway, I was talking about the idea of driving. Imagine you're driving with your handbrake on, or one leg is stepping on the brakes. You'll be putting so much effort in terms of stepping on the accelerator, but the car will not move at full speed. Okay, more people are joining. Okay. So this illustration of stepping on, driving with your handbrake on, what does it mean? It's referring to the subconscious mind. There are certain things when they remain in our subconscious mind, in the outer world, you can find that you're putting in a lot of effort or you're making big plans, but you are never realizing those plans or you're never putting them into effect. So let's talk a bit about what I call the inner world. So what is the inner world? The subconscious mind and the things that happen that we are not aware of. The inner world determines the outer world. Because whatever you do, before you do it, you need to think about it. But for you to think about something, it needs to come from somewhere. The origin of the thoughts are in the subconscious mind. Now, the thing about the subconscious mind is that there are things in the subconscious mind that you can go through your life without ever realizing they're there. Because most of them, they're implanted during our childhood. So, what are some of the common things that hold people back, which are in the subconscious mind? There's fear. Sometimes you're afraid of something, but you're not even aware that you're afraid. Fear of rejection, fear of criticism. These are big fears that hold back so many people. I also mentioned the idea that sometimes our own emotional needs make us vulnerable to fear. And one of the most important correlations is our need for love and affection and how it makes us so afraid of criticism. Especially for those who need to build a personal brand. This is something that you're going to relate to. If you're trying to build a personal brand, one of the fears you're going to have is fear of criticism. And I was giving an example of there's one of my clients, a gentleman. He was planning to start making videos. So he was hesitating to build his brand. So when I talked to him, I told him, listen, the reason you're hesitating to start creating videos online and to start branding yourself is that there are certain very specific people whose opinion you are worried about. The first time I learned this, I realized how true it was, because even myself, I was very, very shy, very afraid of putting myself out there, making those videos you see me making. I was so scared, but I didn't know why I was scared until I learned about this lady was talking about how to overcome the fear of going on camera. She said, when you are afraid of making videos for your online marketing, for example, the people that you are most afraid of either are part of your family, they are your former schoolmates, or they are your workmates. They are your colleagues, mostly people who know you already. Those people, you care about their opinion because you want them to love you and accept you. This is human. So this is the part where now your inner world is conflicting with something you're supposed to do on the outside. So on the outside, logically, you might be thinking, on the outside, I need to create content for my Facebook page. We need to create some videos, but you're afraid of showing your face. So you need to now start digging further to say, where is this fear coming from? So all those things are in the subconscious mind. And if you don't take a time to shine a light on them and try to understand them, you will be like someone who is driving with your handbrake on. You'll be putting in effort, you'll be making all these plans, but you find that you are procrastinating, you're not taking action. Whenever you try to take action, you postpone or you give a certain excuse. Okay. So now, how do you overcome these inner world challenges? There are a lot of different methods. So what I mentioned in this release the brakes is that if you find that there's something that is resonating, you should ask for a bonus score. So far I've had 2 people who've said, I think I'm able to resonate so much with some of the information in this video. I feel like I need to go back into my childhood and be able to release certain breaks that are holding me back, because maybe my childhood was rough, or maybe because there's something that is really holding me back that I need to investigate. So there are different methods that are used to rewire your subconscious. There's even a term called consciousness engineering, where you can go back into your childhood and identify the different things that can be holding you back. It could be beliefs. So beliefs are a really, really big one. So let's say the most common one, which is easy to understand, is the belief about money. Let's say you come from a background where money is considered evil, successful people are considered crooked. So which means in your subconscious mind you have a negative association to success. So in the outer world you want to be successful, but in the inner world, in the subconscious mind, you don't want to be associated with that bad thing called success. So I hope you are seeing the conflict there. So that conflict keeps so many people trapped in dreaming without taking action. So they are driving with their handbrake on. Okay, let me pause here. Any thoughts about this concept of releasing the brakes? Anyone who has comments or questions on the idea of releasing the brakes? Is anyone planning to do video promotions? Are you planning to do video marketing? Have you ever thought about promoting your business using video and then found yourself hesitating or being afraid? Because this is very common. It's a very common symptom of breaks, unreleased breaks for us who are doing online marketing. Mr. Evans, go ahead.
Yes, I downloaded my TikTok, but I haven't posted my first video yet. Mainly
Okay.
because of fear, you know. I've done a few videos which I couldn't let go live. But
Okay.
basically, myself, I listened to this lesson, and for me, this is a big one. Because
Hmm.
I can give you an example. And I've attended a lot of seminars and programs similar to this one, where mostly I even find that most of the material that the speaker is mentioning, more especially the books that they've read, I know about the books. I've read some, or maybe I just know the author. But the problem is I'm still in the same position I was 7 years ago. So this lesson about breaks is really a big one for me.
Hmm. Thank you. I'll comment more on that one later. Geshom, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I've got a hoarse voice. But I just maybe to concur with Mr. Evans, are there maybe actionable steps one should take in order to overcome this challenge?
Okay, thank you. Emilia, go ahead. Emilia, your microphone is muted, so if you're saying something, we can't hear you, but you can go ahead. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So this particular lesson has really, really resonated with me so much to a point that, I've been, after going through it, yes, I looked at my childhood. I looked at events, a lot of events in my life. Some of them I've seen that they've shaped who I am, and they are actually controlling a lot of aspects of my life. So when I checked myself, I did the self-assessment. I realized why I make certain decisions and why I'm hesitant to do certain things. So with this guidance, I think I'm ready to come out of the shell, and I'm ready to be a better person, a better version of myself. So yeah, this is excellent.
Okay, thank you. So I wanted to comment something that Mr. Evans mentioned. So let me narrate something that happened. In the early days before I started teaching, I studied so many courses. I enrolled in so many courses. I bought so many books. My Kindle, if you see my Kindle library, you'll be surprised. There are more than 200 books in my Kindle library. I was reading ferociously. In a month, I would make sure I read between 6 to 8 books. I just kept on accumulating knowledge, but I never felt like I was ready. So one day, there was a program by a South African digital marketer. And I thought I need to enroll in this after hearing the marketing. Guess what happened? At the end of that class, I was so annoyed with myself. Why? Because I realized there was nothing new in that class. So I asked myself, what is the difference between me and this gentleman? He is teaching the same things I know, and I'm feeling like I'm not ready. So this is a typical example of how the inner world is the one that is controlling. For him, he had no hesitation to go ahead because he believed in himself and he did not have that fear. I was too afraid and I was still doubting myself. So sometimes it takes going through an experience like that for you to say, you know what? Enough with the learning. It's time for me to start teaching. I actually know enough to teach. So those of you who are feeling like you're listening to this and you're thinking, okay, I've heard this before. So the question is, why haven't you acted on it? So you now need to say, okay, maybe there's something else in the subconscious which I need to release, maybe some fear, some doubt. Then you can move ahead. So there was a question of what are the steps that you can take. So what I did with releasing the brakes, I said those who resonate so much with this, I'll give you an additional course. It's called How to Win the Inner Game. You can go through the lessons at your own time. Then there's also another book called Unshackled. It's part of the platform we're using, Easy Course. It's available on the platform. All I have to do is just add it to your account. So if you feel like you are resonating with this, you can actually just indicate. 2 people have already told me, so I'm going to add that to their account. So in terms of the steps, let me just explain to you how I overcame the fear of making videos. That was one of my biggest ones. So what used to happen is when I'm about to create a video to teach on my page, I would be so worried about how do I look? How do I sound? How is my hair looking? Do I need to do my nails? Do I need to go for makeup? How's my voice going to sound? I remember I recorded a video of myself. I failed to post it. I deleted it. That happened a number of times. So luckily for me, this was the time I think I started being coached by my current coach. Then she said, can you tell me about the people that you are trying to create this content for? Why would they listen to you? Then I told her, because I know what I'm talking about and I know it's helpful information for them. Then she said, okay, do you really think they care about how your hair is looking? So she had to help me see to say, I'm the one who is caring about how I'm looking. I'm the one worried about how I'm looking, but I actually have enough value to teach. So sometimes it takes someone pointing it out to you, like those who are saying, okay, this has resonated with me, like we are in this group. Sometimes it takes taking certain steps. So like Robin Sharma, one of the things that he encourages, which I love, he calls it bravery training. Like you're teaching yourself to become braver. So how do you do bravery training? He says that on a daily basis, you have to take deliberate action to do something you're uncomfortable with, something that you've never done before. Basically, you are stepping outside. You're deliberately stepping outside your comfort zone every single time. So one of the other things which I really, really struggled with was doing live videos. So that means that the very thing that you're afraid of doing, you force yourself to do it. So there are a number of different ways to overcome these inner game challenges. And those who joined late, let me just explain. I had started by explaining about the client I went to see today. They have more than 30 employees, but I'm already seeing that some of the managers within that company, they need leadership coaching because they keep on complaining that some of their subordinates are not delivering, but then they are failing to discipline them. So I can see there's some kind of fear on the part of the manager or the leader. So personal development is not just for beginners. Even those managers who are at a more advanced level, they may need some coaching. So each one of us will be at different levels. So you have to be self-aware and say, okay, for me, this is the level I'm at. I need to start this level. I need to go to the next level. So I've been with my coach from 2019. So this is almost 4 years. So every single time we're trying to push for the next level. What is the next level after this? What is the next thing that we need to work on? And you find that personal development is like that. Once you reach this level, the next level, you'll be able to see, okay, for me to reach this level, I need to work on this. So our bringing is so important. And since we're all Africans, I can bring another very, very important part of our mindset. The colonialism that we underwent. It left a lot of inferiority complex in the Black person's mindset, such that on average, if you see two people, one is white and one is Black, you're more likely to assume that the white person is better, is more skilled, and is more successful. So that is now like this is a particular mindset specific to Africans. So the way we've been brought up, those who really took those things so seriously, like a Black person cannot amount to anything, you have to play small, you're not capable of anything really, really big. All that has remained in some of the people's subconscious. So if you want to make it really, really big in business, you have to do this work, the conscious engineering, going into your subconscious and releasing the brakes. That was the lesson on releasing the brakes. I want to now talk about the financial blueprint, but I'll pause in case there's someone who's got a question or clarification on this concept of releasing the brakes and the inner world. Okay. Emilia? It's saying Emilia has raised her hand. Okay, yes, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to find out.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you completely get over certain things that you experienced for you to actually move on, or you need to just like live with it, accept that things happened, then you are okay for you to release the handbrake?
Okay, let me answer it this way. It's a process. There's no button. So the handbrake might actually be a very bad example, because the handbrake is one time you just press on it and release it, okay? But it does illustrate the same point. But my experience is that it's a process. It's like layers. I was using an example of an onion. You go one layer at a time. Let me give an example of let's say overcoming emotional pain. Even for some people, the first thing is they have to learn the concept of forgiveness. Maybe that concept of forgiveness, because many people hold a grudge. Maybe they don't even know how to release a grudge. They don't know the process. So you have to now start learning and practicing. It's like baby steps. It's like learning to walk. Honestly, I don't think it's something that you can just drop immediately. And some issues are so deep, you need to go to therapy. Some things are so deep, you need to go to therapy. Some things just reading and enlightening yourself and practicing. That's why I was saying, for every individual, the issues that they need to deal with in their subconscious mind will vary in degree, because we all have different childhood experiences. So you can't, I wouldn't say you can just say, okay, I'll move on, and then you move on. No, there is need to take time and heal. It's like someone who's got, let's say you've injured yourself, okay? You've broken a leg or something. You can't just say, no, I'm going to be fine, I'll just continue running. No, you have to pause, maybe go to the doctor, they clean up the wound, give you some medication, put some support structure like a plaster or something. While the leg is healing, you might start slowly walking until a point where you no longer need that stuff, you'll be fully healed. Then you can actually feel normal again. Does that make sense? Like, it's a process.
Yes, it does. Yeah,
Okay.
it does. It does. Thank you.
Okay. Madam Viola, you have your hand up. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so what you're talking about resonates very well with me. I'm naturally an introvert. I used to be very, very shy, and I would prefer spending time alone. I think it's something to do with my childhood experience. I'm not prepared to share, but that really affected me. So I can say personal development is very, very important, and it's not something that happens overnight. It's a journey. From what has been happening in my life right now, I think in a group, I'll be the very talkative and sociable person, very active. But if I'm to share my childhood background, I don't think I'll be there. But this personal development is actually helped me. I'm still trying to come out. I'm not yet there. So yeah, I just want to encourage people. It's not something that happens over the night. You need to work for it. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That is such an important contribution. Okay, does anyone else want to comment on this? Or we can go to the second lesson. Okay, so the second part is called the financial blueprint. It's actually very much related to the concept of personal development, but this one is specific to finances. So in the lesson, as a summary, I started by sharing the same concept of the inner world versus the outer world. But this is specifically related to finances. And the financial blueprint is a set of rules or the way you relate to money, sort of like the way your relationship with money, but it's subconscious. So, where does this relationship with money come from? And how does it affect you? It comes again from your subconscious, which is built from childhood. So, I shared the concept of some of the behaviors people have around money. They are called money personalities. There are people who are compulsive savers, who are even at risk of being hoarders. Somebody just wants to keep money all the time. They are very reluctant to spend. You may have heard of, especially on these reality TV shows, somebody was living very poorly. Then when they pass away, they find that actually this person had money, but they were not spending it. Then there are those compulsive spenders. They never keep anything. Whatever money comes in, they spend it. And these are even very prone to getting into debt. Okay. Then there are what are called money monks. These are people who have a negative view of money. They would rather not keep any money around. Anything that seems to be excessive money, they'll get rid of it, either consciously or subconsciously. Then the other one is obsessive money makers, where the relationship with money is that if you don't have money, you have no value. So they are obsessed with making money at whatever cost. So these are some of the examples of extremes of relationships with money that can be negative. So the key thing is to be aware. So like, let me give an example of myself. I remember someone once commented when I was in university, they said, money doesn't stay in your hands. It just seeps through your hands. I didn't know what that person meant until later when I started personal development. I realized I was a spender. I was so much of a spender. So I had to learn about saving, and I had to realign my behavior around money. Okay. So these are some of the personalities around money. Then another thing that is so important when it comes to the financial blueprint, which is one of my favorite things to talk about, are called money stories. Money stories. So in my journey of personal development, one of the most important personalities I came across is a lady by the name of Denise Duffield Thomas from Australia. So she's written a book called Get Rich Lucky Bitch. The title is really weird, but the content is one of the most important I've ever come across. So it goes like this. it says you should go back to your childhood and think about what used to happen around money. Even T. Haveka, he's got another book called The Millionaire Mindset, where he teaches about having a healthy healthy relationship with money. He says, go back to your childhood and think about what used to happen around money. For example, if money was always in short supply in your house, you grow up feeling that there isn't enough money in the world. If you look around, there are people, adults, who still have that attitude. They feel like there isn't enough money in the world. Then there are people who grew up in households where the parents or the siblings were always fighting over money. So when you're a child and you're observing those things, those stories go into your subconscious mind. As you grow older, you may not realize it, but you might subconsciously associate money with conflict. Then you find that you might be avoiding money because it has a negative association. Then there are religious beliefs around money, which is also a big one. What is the belief about money that you were taught when you were young? Because those beliefs, especially the ones that we learn when we are young, those ones, they remain in our subconscious mind. Robert Kiyosaki, I remember he gave a story about in his book where he was saying the same Bible, some people will talk about it in a way that encourages you to make money, but others will give stories and interpret it in a way that demonizes the making of money. So it depends on how your teachers, your early teachers, your parents, your background, their relationship with money and how they taught you to relate to it, because that affects people even after they've grown up. So one of the common ones, again in Africa, for men, is fear of success. This is actually subconscious. Fear of success and fear of outshining older people. For some people, it's believed that the older people are the ones who are supposed to more like look after you. They should be more successful. So it's not polite to outshine them by becoming more successful than them. Nobody has ever actually sat down to think what is really going on. But for some, that's a belief that has been passed down to them. Sometimes this one particularly affects women who are told you should not focus, a good woman should not focus so much on making money, but she should focus on her business. So all these are money stories. Money stories are such a huge contributor to your financial blueprint. And that financial blueprint relates to how you are going to relate in the outer world. You find that you're working very hard, but there's all this conflict going on inside, which is causing you to make bad decisions, causing you to procrastinate. When you're supposed to take a deal, you're supposed to fill in some long form that will help you to make money. You're finding yourself stepping back, holding back. It's some kind of also like you have to release the inner brakes, the handbrake, but this is specifically for money. So you have to also do a self-analysis. What are your money stories? What kind of background are you coming from? What stories were they telling about money? Is it good? Is it bad? Does it cause conflict? What exactly is the story? And how is that story relating to your life right now? Do you still believe it? And how does it affect you? Okay, that is the lesson on the financial blueprint. So you have to be self-aware about what is affecting the way you are relating to money, because it will affect how you handle yourself in the outer world and how you run your business. Okay, that's the summary for the financial blueprint. Any questions, comments? Did you find anything that resonated? Yvonne?
Thanks, Susan. I think just like the people have spoken, step off the brakes this afternoon was like, wow, such an eye opener for me. And yeah, maybe for me, this should have been the first lesson, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think it's this 2023 has been briefly, 2023 has been an eye-opening year for me, and it's made me come out of my shell. It's made me take steps that I wouldn't have done before. And one of the things that always helps me is I think one of the statements from Vusi, what's his name, the South African entrepreneur, who
Tembekwaro.
said, yes, who said, do you want the progress or do you want to remain with the emotion? So every time I'm about to do something, that I always ask myself, do I want the progress or do I want the emotion? And yeah, so yeah, the step off the brakes has been like, wow, it should have been the first lesson for me. Thanks.
Oh.
Then my other question, I don't know whether this is the appropriate time, but I always struggle with this issue of personal branding. If you're running a business, do you still need to brand yourself as the owner? Do you need personal branding? Because I feel it's about the business, it's not about me.
Mm.
I know it's probably me shying away from putting myself out there, but so I want to understand, is it
Okay.
about the business? I hope I'm making myself clear.
Yes, you are. You are. That's an interesting question. I like that question. So let me tell you, I've dealt with business owners. One of the clients I've actually had discussions with. She's a multi-millionaire in US dollar terms. You know what she wears? She wears the Muslim attires. You know, the ones that cover most of your face.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, even in the meeting where I went to see her, that's what she was wearing. There is no way she's going to show her face anywhere, but she's grown a big business. Then there are those that have grown big businesses like Facebook, Elon Musk, they are showing their face. So for me, what I've seen is that either way it works. You can either build the business brand and stay completely unknown from the public because you're a private person, or you can lead with your personal brand because it makes sense for you. So I think you know deep down which option is better for your business. There was a gentleman I was trying to encourage him to use personal development. He said, look, he was in his, I think he was 60 something. He said, I'm working on my retirement. Do you really think I want to start showing my face to the world? No, I'm not showing my face. We need to build the brand so that it's independent. Then there was another person who was also in her 60s, a lady. She said, I'm not retiring anytime soon. I love my business. And yes, you should definitely show my face. So you see, it's not even about age. It's not even about the type of business. It's personal preference. So the question is, what do you want to do? How do you feel you can really impact this world? If we go back to setting your GPS, you might find your answer there. Because if you're trying to build a lifestyle business, are you going to build it in such a way that it can sustain itself? Can it sustain itself without you showing up your face? Or are you going to build a business such that it's its own brand and it can exist even if you don't show up as a personal brand? So I think those are the factors to look at. Deep down, I think you will be able to know when you think about it.
Thank you for that. More food for thought.
More food for thought. Okay. Okay, Chikondi, go ahead, please. Your mic is muted, Chikondi. If you are saying something, we're not able to hear you. Okay, yes, now.
Okay. Right. So, good evening, everyone. So, I heard you asking which parts of the lessons have resonated with us. So, the part that resonated the most with me is the money aspect, where from childhood. We lived in a household where there was lack. So I grew up with that mentality where there's not enough money in the world, and I think that has really affected my financial decisions and how I price what I sell and things like that. So I think this is really helpful for me, and I'll dig in and reprogram my subconscious before it messes everything up for me. So very very eye opening.
Okay, thank you very much for that feedback. Do we have any other feedback? We can wind up. It's 18:45. So weekend, Saturday and Sunday will not be having any of these lessons, but the lesson for Monday and Tuesday are already on the portal, so you can go through at your own time so that we're able to stay up to date, and we'll be adding more lessons for the other days. Those who've requested they want to dig deeper on the subject of the subconscious, you have some extra video lessons added to your account. You can also go through, you can use the weekend to go through them. Does anyone feel like creating videos? Okay, apart from Mr. Evans, who has created videos and is hesitating to post, do you have anyone else who wants to create videos for their social media, but they are hesitating and they are not sure why? Emilia?
Yes, Susan. I'm one of those people. I'm actually shy to make videos that can be posted all over, especially if they include me. I can post, maybe my voice can be heard in the background. That I'm fine with. I'm okay with. But I feel the videos where I am actually there presenting, saying something, selling a brand, selling myself, I think I'm still not there.
Okay.
But I would love to do that.
Whose opinion are you worried about?
We'll talk off the group.
You're feeling
But
shy.
you know, we are all, you know, there's no human being except you now who's overcome, who is not scared of someone's criticism, someone's word out there. We all have someone somewhere who, Nanga,
Yeah.
you know,
Yes.
there's always that which we're scared of.
Someone,
Yeah. So
in the early days of creating videos, someone actually asked me, so those same to my videos you've been making, and I felt so embarrassed.
yes, so yes, I'm at that stage because
Okay.
like even home,
Yeah.
the people around are so excited about, you know, social media. They're excited about TikTok. They're excited about a lot of things. My sister encourages me. I have a certain talent, which I'll share later. My
Yeah.
sister always encourages me to do TikTok videos and stuff, and says, "No, you can do great." But I'm always like, "If now
Yeah.
everyone will see me," you know.
Yeah.
So I'm still at that stage.
Yeah. You know, I think we have to, it's important to just acknowledge that, you know what, this is normal. It's fear of judgment is very normal. And the judgment we fear the most is a judgment from people who know us. Our family, close family, our friends, people from work, people we grew up with, former classmates. We just have to acknowledge. It starts by acknowledging that, you know, I'm afraid of their judgment, I'm afraid of their criticism. Then after that, the next thing is, okay, what do I do about that? Then you can the first thing is just acknowledgement. I think it's a step forward just to acknowledge that this is a problem. Yeah.
Yeah, so we will eventually. I'm sure very soon we'll be trending.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else who has some comment, question, or feedback that okay, Mr. Evans, please go ahead.
Just following up on what you've been discussing, I actually want to learn how to, you know, like the way you've done your video. like talking over the material without showing my face in the meantime.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah,
I
that's
don't know
one way.
what that is called.
Okay, that's one way to create videos without showing your face. So for those who are really, really shy, you can actually start by doing those are voiceovers. So it's called screen recording. So you create like a PowerPoint. So like the lessons in the course, I never show my face on those ones. So you create like you're making a presentation, then you're also talking. So you can do this on Canva. Surprisingly, Canva has got this feature and a lot of software. So the one I'm using right now is called Camtasia. There's another one also called Snagit. But if you just Google, you say screen recording software. So you can if you've got something to talk about, show it on your laptop and then click on screen recording, then you'll be talking. So the voice, whatever you're saying, will be recorded together with what's in your screen to make that video.
Start with that before I start shooting videos.
So you want to start with that so that you're not showing your face. Maybe it will be easier. It might be a starting point.
Yes, I would love to start with that.
Okay, no problem. I can send you a list of the software that I've tried.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. If there's no any other comment or question, I think we can end here. Thank you for showing up, and I wish you a very good weekend. So those who haven't yet given feedback on your online marketing, I'm going one by one. Please be patient with me. I'm still going through different people's online marketing and giving feedback for them. So you definitely have your feedback before the end of next week. Okay, this is all for today.
Thank you very much.
Okay, good night. Have a good weekend. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, good night.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank
Stay
you.
Good
okay.
night.
Good night. Thank you.